Fellas, it's your boy Daily Crypto in the house, and we got a new vibe for you. Well, it's the same office, but usually I just have a green screen back here, and I don't know. Then we usually put the Crypto University logo up like right here somewhere, and I was just like, you know what? Let's try and give it a little bit of a different vibe for a few episodes and see what's crack-a-lacking. So we got nice pink light up in here, and you can see the background of my office where I trade at. So today we're going to be discussing BTC price action updates. That way you can know what is happening in the market. And then we're going to be taking a look at, of course, good old Ethereum. We're going to take a look at Solana, and we're going to review the meme sector, just stopping at Doge. But if anyone has any other meme coins or any tokens they want me to take a look at, please feel free to drop it in the comment section, and I'll take a look at it for you. Or if you have any questions as well, just drop the questions in there. Come on, give me some activity, guys. That way we can get this chat popping and it becomes more of an interactive live stream. Take a sip of this milk real quick and we'll get started. Milk. Wonderful stuff right there. Oh, one more thing. Next week, we're going to be doing a live trading session. So I'm going to have a guest up here for us, Ricky Spanish, FPS, someone who's had a little bit of success trading. Recently, he has been diving more into the degen sector with that wave that came up, and he was able to rip a gnarly trade out of there. So I was chatting it up with him, and we're going to get him on the show next week. That way he can tell you guys a little bit about what he's looking for, and we're going to look to trade the markets live. So if you ever wanted to trade live with us, next week's going to be your opportunity. Don't forget, we also have live trading sessions every Friday in the Discord. Hopefully, the COO has a link somewhere around here to join the Discord. We have free live trading sessions every Friday where you can come in, chat with me, say, hey, what's up, Daily? What do you think about this asset? If it looks good, we'll take it. If it looks good, we'll take it. Anyway, so that's what we got for you next week. We'll still be doing the market update, but we are going to be live trading. All right, let's go ahead and get started with some BTC, guys. So putting myself into the corner now, and we'll go ahead and take a look. Maybe let's see if I can move to the other corner. Does that work? Oh, no, that doesn't work. All right, well, not too bad. Where's me now? Okay, hold on. There we go. All right, I'll just keep myself in the corner. That should suffice. Okay, so we're going to be looking at BTC here first and foremost, and we're looking at the daily time frame, guys, because the daily time frame presents us with legible information that won't be washed away by the time the stream's over. You know, if we're looking at the 1 hour or something, there may be something there for us that we would be able to trade on, but you know, by the time some people view this, if they do view it later, the information is going to be obviously pretty quick. So taking a look here first, what we're able to see, guys, we have to train our eyeballs. This is going to be the path that our eyeballs are taking when analyzing tokens. So here we're looking at distinguishing highs, all the highest high points, and we're looking at low points as well to see what they're doing. Are the low points staying stagnant like they were here, or are they descending? So like right here, we see that they start to shape to the downside. If we were looking a little bit further back, you know, sometimes we're going to see lows that are rising up that will have an ascending trend line, but these currently are shifting us into a downtrend. We can see that these highs are descending and these lows are descending as well. We also see that the EMAs were used as support and failed multiple times. Now we're starting to use them as resistance here. So once we've identified this lows and high points, what we're going to want to do is map them up with trend lines. So here we're connecting a trend line based upon these highs. And if you don't know how to draw a trend line, guys, this is exactly what you're going to do. You're going to take your tool. You're going to go to your highest observable point. You're going to draw out a line, and you're going to try and lay it down across as many high points as you can and just project it out. So there, if I tighten that line up just like so, you'll see that it resembles this other red line that I have. So I like to use red lines as descending dynamic resistance lines. That way you can easily identify them. And then our green lines, of course, are going to be uptrend projections for dynamic support. So we can see here, there's a projection on this value from these 2 points. Hasn't been broken yet, hasn't been used yet. Here we have another projection from 2 other points. And then again, one more projection back here. And finally, our last upward projection. So there's a lot of potential dynamic supports here where buyers may find interest as BTC comes back through these levels. And that's basically what we're doing on the bottom, just connecting our lows and highs using our trend lines. First, we identify them with our eyeballs, and then we put a trend line on it. So that part's pretty simple. Next, we're going to be looking at our horizontal support and resistance. And this is kind of how you would analyze a market. I have these drawn up for us, but the way we're looking to identify these is we're just finding areas where high points struggle to break above or low points struggle to break below. So we can see here in the recent price action, here was an area where price failed to break above. Here's an area where price did fail to break below for some time and then flipped its roll. So we know that when support and resistance breaks, they could flip their roll. And then back here again, we're looking at something similar where price was unable to break a certain level on the high point and any other meaningful trend lines or price action points. So here, there's that zone we identified. Here's that zone. Here's the previous zone here. And then looking out to the left, we can see a high point here, starting for the low of that range, a high point here that was also resisted here, and also almost got respect perfectly for support on the flip. So this could be considered a slight zone. And then down here, we have some of the lowest price points that we've seen for BTC in quite some time, sitting around 16K. So those are our horizontal support and resistance points. Remember, if it's below price action, it could be served as support. And if it's above price action, it could be served as resistance. So make sure that you identify your swing high and your swing low for the range as well. That's going to give you your trading range. And here we can see BTC has been trading in this range for the past few months now, since November the 16th, when we first entered that range just after Trump's election. So then we combine those two things, our horizontal support and resistance and our dynamic support and resistance, and we get areas of price action conflict. So here we can see that there's a conflict within this wedge. Price is trapped inside of this wedge, as well as trapped between this previous support flip resistance and this support because it's underneath it now. So previous resistance may flip to support. This is the area of price action conflict with BTC until BTC defeats one of these trend lines here, either this dynamic trend line or this horizontal zone. Unless it can defeat those, we can't consider higher price action. And if BTC is defeated by these trend lines, it falls down to the outside or it breaks through to the bottom, then we're likely to consider price going down further. But for right now, price is trapped within this perfect range. Looking at a couple other tools and indicators, what we could see here is the ADX did have a slight peak up here, followed by a bit of cool off period with one more push up and now cooling off again. So we could see that was reflected in the downtrend. Price pushed down really hard, then had a cool off period with a lot of volatility, but price ultimately rejected off of that level again. And in its recent run up here was actually favoring the uptrend. Now we see that big red wick and a red candle forming, giving us our next cool off period. So we got the MACD showing a bullish trend line, but remember, since the signals are underneath the median, the general overall trend is still considered a downtrend. We would like to see a bullish cross above the median in order to give us more confidence trading with that uptrend. We know that this uptrend could lose strength at any moment, and it's not as strong because the MACD and the signal line are below the median. And then looking at the RSI, there was a little bit of divergence there last week that we looked at, but it's already been satisfied, so we can stop looking at that divergence. It's already been used. So let me check here what this notification is. Okay, never mind. That's all good. I just wanted to make sure no one was trying to get the restream out of me. We share the restream here at Crypto University. So if Gray wants to go live, I gotta make myself aware of that, but it was a different alert, so no worries there. Here is our BTC chart, guys. This is what we're looking at. We have this resistance right here within the range of starting at 87K up to 91, and then our support beginning around 76K, potentially down to 69K. We'll send you guys a screenshot of that there. Boom. If you missed the beginning of the show, guys, welcome. What we're doing today is analyzing. We just got done with BTC. Now we're going to be taking a look at Ethereum. Then we're going to review Solana, and we're going to visit the meme coin sector with Dogecoin analysis as well. And if there's anything anyone wants me to analyze, please feel free to drop it in the comment section, whatever pair you want me to take a look at, or whatever question you have, and we'll get it looked. We'll get that asset looked at for you, or we'll get that question answered. So I also dropped in the chat, that way you guys could find it, the trading view chart that I just analyzed. All right, moving over to Ethereum. Oh, also for those who are joining us late, we are going to have a live trading session here on the show next week with my boy Ricky Spanish, another fellow trader. So that's definitely something you got to come out and check out. We're going to try and make some money or lose some money. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? That's the reality of trading. I'll show you guys what we're looking for, how we take actions, when not to take actions. If there's no opportunities, I'm not just going to blow my wad. All right, moving forward to Ethereum again, guys. First thing we're going to be doing is, this is with the path that our eyeballs are going to take. So follow this red dot right here, the one that is making a heart right now. I want to show you the path our eyeballs are going to be taking. So again, when we go to any chart ever, first thing we're going to do is look at all the highs and lows. Find the meaningful highs and low points. So we have a high point here, high point here, high point here, here, and here. Now they're starting to reverse direction from that point. So this is a pivot. This is a pivot. This is a swing high. It's the highest for the range. So it swung up, created a high, and then pivoted. So from here, we're going to be looking at downtrends. We can see with our eyeballs, these are all descending and going lower. We're looking at our lows and doing the same thing, tracing them back, tracing them back. Now they're starting to pivot. So here's a swing low that's going to shoot down. If we tried to connect a trend line from here to here, it would get crossed out by all this stuff. If we tried to connect a trend line to here, same thing. It's already been broken. So we're looking for active and valid trend lines by trying to connect low points with our eyeballs. Sometimes they're going to be shaping up, like right here, we can see these lows are ascending, but sometimes they're going to be shaping down. So you cannot make them go up. If they're going down, you have a downtrend. That's how you would identify a downtrend. So again, once we identify our dynamic highs and lows, we can put those on there. So we have a trend line coming from these two values. And if you wanted to, you could adjust this over your new high. But realistically, what this shows is that price attempted to break out and immediately re-entered the range. So then I had another one here, and we see here price is broken through. So this is an old structure now for Ethereum. Looking at these new low points, what we can do is take and move the trend line down to where this origin starts, and then we can adjust it to connect those low points there. So that's how you would be looking to do that, and finding any plausible market structures like a falling wedge. We see here, we had a falling wedge in BTC as well. So any kind of market structure that is observable, this is how you identify it. So now that we got that market structure looked at and reasonably labeled, then we could go ahead and start doing the same thing with our horizontal support and resistance. So horizontal supports and resistances, there's a lot of them here on Ethereum. Let me turn this off again for us real quick. Remember, guys, when you're doing this yourself, you're looking to see where the meaningful highs are. So these are all prominent high points. And we're going to try and put a zone there. So anytime we're looking for zones, it's a place where price fails to break above or below multiple times. So that's how we would end up with that zone there. And that's how we ended up with a lot of these other areas as well. So here we can see in this zone, we had a resistance point, support, flip resistance, flip support. So this was an intermediary zone. Here we had a zone based on a couple different things. Zooming far back out here, we could see a couple touches. Touch. So this is our most recent, it was a support zone, and now it's our closest resistance zone. Below that, we have an area here where price struggled to break below. So this could serve as buyer interest in the near future. We're trading very close to that level. And then back here again, this is an area where price struggled to break below. We could actually go ahead and make this a zone here by this low and this low. So if we just take and drag out from here, we're able to see another zone where price struggled to break below. So because it's beneath current price action, it can be served as support. And then looking back up here, this was kind of an intermediary range with a little bit of respect. I don't necessarily have so much faith in this singular trend line, but without it, there's just a very huge gap from one zone to the next. So these are certainly areas right here where people may experience seller interest once price returns to those levels. And then zooming out back here, we have another level. We have one more level back here based on that high, penetrating here, and then the previous all-time high. So once price is able to get above this swing high here, go back to the all-time high, it's going to have to face that level of resistance first. And then, of course, probably going to get some seller interest at that all-time high. So that will serve as resistance as well. Then when we turn these things on together, we are able, let me go ahead and put that in there. And if you guys didn't know, I have, it makes a lot of sense to keep track of your chart and your charting, organize everything within groups and folders. Here I have horizontal support and resistance. Here I have dynamic support and resistance. I have that in a lot of my charts, as you can see. That way we're able to keep things nice and tidy. So you don't have a big list of things and you can turn off a group of drawings whenever you want to. All right, so moving back to Ethereum now, we're going to combine those two drawings, those groups of drawings there. And just for our eyeballs to be a little bit better, we're going to drag these out to match up with those horizontal endpoints. And usually what I do here is just kind of drag them out like a month or so ahead. As we can see, we're nearing the end of March. So coming into April, I'll just extend those all to the end of April. That way they're still close enough for me to see them, but far out enough that I can use them as a projection. So right here, we see the area that Ethereum is trapped in based on this dynamic support and resistance here. And now we can see the most pinched it's going to be is right in this area. So we're determining if price is coming back towards the swing low, towards that 1500 level, back along the bottom of that trend line, or if price is going to break up from here, give a penetration continuing over that penetration over that 9 EMA to test that 26 and then perhaps the 50. So first, if we get over this horizontal line here, that's going to pass the 26 resistance test and this horizontal resistance test. Then the next target is going to look to be the 50 EMA, probably somewhere around here, and this dynamic trend line. So enemy obstacle number one for Ethereum to continue moving higher is going to be this area right here. Obstacle number two for this asset to continue moving higher is going to be right here. And if these obstacles are met with no buyer interest, then sellers are going to dominate that level, and we could potentially see price back to the swing low or back to that level there. Ultimately, if that 1500 level doesn't hang, we should probably part ways with the ETH bags as we look to revisit 1000 potentially. So that's where we're looking at with Ethereum on price action. Then we're just going to take a look at some of the other tools and indicators that we like to use. So the ADX, something similar here that we saw in BTC. It pushed up on a downtrend, consolidated, pushed up on a downtrend, consolidated, and then we see strength here now in that downtrend again, and a little bit of consolidation with these wicks. So the downtrend had a lot of strength here. That was also evident in the MACD as it was bearish. The signal and the MACD line were underneath the median. So this was representative of a overall downtrend. And that was also when we had the crossover. So that would have projected that things were going to get a little bit worse and steeper for Ethereum price action to continue negatively. Here we can see a slight bullish cross. So it's actually not the worst time for this downtrend to start seeing some signs of uptrend reversal here, but that's not enough for us to bet on. It is bullish, but it's underneath, again, it's underneath the median. So the overall trend is still downtrend. If we get another cross here, price trends up a little bit, maybe that's cool, but we run into that resistance here or there, and then the next cross comes, we're going to get screwed out. And then on that RSI divergence, we also had some divergence here, but that's also already realized. So we're not going to be considering that any further. It does seem like Ethereum is considered relatively cheap on the daily time frame. If the RSI starts to gain more distance away from that, then we can look to see if we're going to get that breakout continuation. But honestly, the best opportunities here are going to be waiting for a breakout. That's also going to be similar to BTC. Our best opportunities are going to be if a breakout occurs here or if price falls down to this level. If it breaks out, we know price is going to go up, we can go long. If it falls down, we know price is going to go down, we can go short. Same for Ethereum. If price looks to break out above this level here, we're going to try and go long. And if it falls down below this level here, we're going to try and go short. So there's our ETH analysis for this current range. Let me get you guys a screenshot of this. Where is all my chat at, guys? Someone say something in the chat. Let me know that you are out there. Anything. Just tell me to go F myself. That'll totally work. I just need to know that somebody's out there. I've had one person comment before on these streams. Shout out to that guy. He got a free course. Just shows what happens when you help your boy out. But yeah, let me know what's up. Let me know if you guys want me to analyze anything, or if you have any questions for me. Otherwise, we're just going to keep on moving forward. So same thing here with Solana, guys. While I'm giving you this update, I'm not just trying to show you all the shit that's there and be like, okay, here you go. Here's your analysis. Make do. I'm trying to show you how I come up with these levels, how I perform my analysis, so that way you too can perform your own analysis on any asset you desire. If you need more help with this, you can book me for a one-to-one private consultation. I can help you clear up any specific holes in your game plan, or if you need a general mentorship, I will hold your hand every step of the way. That's also available on our website. All right, moving forward, again, same basic process. Whenever we get to any asset, we want to zoom out to a reasonable window and make sure that we can get enough information to fit on here that's helpful to us. You're always supposed to go back as far as possible to the beginning of a chart and really kind of learn it and understand where its high points, low points, reversals, and things like that are. But that's going to take 12 years to do on stream and talk about, vocalize. So we're just going to do what we've been doing and analyzing the immediate price action with any other greater levels identified. So what are we doing here first, guys? We're supposed to be looking at these high points. So we start from where our current price action is, and we take, this is the path my eyeball takes whenever I'm looking. I look here, then I see I'm following these high points, and they're all ascending. Then we start to reverse direction, then we reverse direction again. So I can see here that my immediate trend starts here. This is the origin point for my most immediate downtrend. And I'm doing the same thing with the lows. I'm looking at the lows, I'm trying to see, okay, these are all going up, and then we're starting to stagger back a different direction, and then we're staggering another direction. So all of these lows are overall lower than the previous, but there is some change in momentum on the lows as far as the direction goes. So you want to make the trend line as clean as possible. Sometimes they're not going to be as clean. You're going to have to skip through some wicks or skip over some wicks. But essentially, this is our most active wedge. We have this is a wedge because price is going down and this line meets with this line. If it was more like a parallel channel, see if I have anything like that, like link. So if I take this one out real quick, we're not going to be looking at link too hefty. But if we take a look at this channel right here, we can see they don't come to an end. The points don't meet, and it's because of the slope of the trend lines. They're following a very specific slope. So people are finding interest in buying here, and people have found interest in selling here so far. Now, the reason that this wedge is a wedge is because the seller interest and the buyer interest come to a vertex. They meet. So this is the point where price is now conflicted. So looking at link, what we're seeing here is, just for demonstration, price is failing to break above this level and price is failing to break below this level. It can trade within these ranges until one or the other gives. But when we have a wedge, like what we're seeing as well on ETH and BTC that we're seeing in Solana, it's a price conflict because price cannot continue to respect the downtrend line and respect the support line, right? There's no way. If these two continue to have support forever, Solana would have to break. It would have to shut down. So price is eventually going to leave this range and it's going to break to the upside using these EMAs as potential resistance zones, or it's going to fall through to the downside to where we could maybe see some other levels. But there is no levels there, Deadly. Okay, so that's where, our next analysis point comes in, our horizontal support and resistances. Looking back to the previous all-time high, there's not much of a zone here. We can see if we really wanted to highlight it, would begin here at this point and then shoot over right there. So that would be our resistance zone up on the top. I'll just go ahead and draw that for us now in case anyone was wondering how we can draw it, because most of these are already drawn for us, but that's the point that I would look to take. And then I'm just trying to drag it down to a reasonable wick, right? So if I had it, down here, that's too large of a zone. I'd have to connect another wick. So I'm just connecting that wick series right there, and we have our upward resistance zone. Now looking into this region, our more recent price action now, we can see there's a couple areas price failed to break over here. But if we try to project out a zone here, it kind of gets messed up by all of these candles that trade within the zone. So here we have a slight high point that was served as support after its initial resistance roll, and then came and flipped back to resistance. So what we see here is price supported, support failure, resistance. So this is a valid zone. We also have here high point, low point. So first resistance, support, then support, break, resistance as well. And then finally, our next closest zone. So this is an interesting difference in Solana from other assets. Like if we look at Ethereum, it's between two zones, two levels. BTC, between two zones, two levels. Coming back to Solana, though, we see it's actually finding support in one of its recent zones. So here is a seller interest point, then flip to buyer interest, buyer interest, buyer interest, buyer interest. So this resistance flipped to support for a while and is now showing signs of support again. So while it's not as strong as we previously seen, here was a wick, which means price entered and left. Here was two candles, here was a wick, here was a wick, here was a wick, here was a few candles, but none of them have really traded into the range like we have here. So buyers still have the opportunity to show support for Solana here if they can have interest. You would have to find a reason why a buyer would want to have interest in this level. All right, so this is going to be our support, our horizontal support and resistance. Now leveled it up with our dynamic support and resistance. Then we can see our conflicted area. So buyers are trying to show support here. There's just not much interest. If there was a strong interest here, we'd have big wicks out of this range. Instead, we have little wick here and reversing, more candles entering the zone. So price is stuck between this dynamic support and resistance level as well as this horizontal zone. If price can break out of this here, what we discussed earlier was loading up into the EMAs, but it's also going to run into that horizontal resistance there as well as there. So there's a lot of reasons sellers might find interest in here, whether it be capital preservation or just trying to take a short for the flip side if they believe that we're entering a bear market. There's a lot of reasons why someone might find reasons to take action there. That's why I'm letting you know about the range. And then looking at the ADX, it's not as stellar as our other assets we see. It's been cooling off for quite some time. The downtrend is still intact. We're still seeing lower highs and lower lows, but there's not a lot of momentum there reflected in the trend. Here's similar story with the MACD. We got that bullish cross, but it's below the median. So remember, the larger trend is still a downtrend. It also looks like there's been a little bit of mishap here. Volume and momentum was slowing down, seems to be picking up again now, but it's only a matter of time before those bars start shaping back towards the median, like we see in this case here, and in many cases before as well. The MACD usually has a high point before it will reverse, and that's when we see our momentum being lost, reflected in the trend as a type of downtrend. And then in the RSI, what we're looking at here, there was a little bit of divergence as well, but again, that divergence is already satisfied. It's a very small divergence. So we're not looking at any active bullish divergences right now. So this is going to be our soul chart, and then we'll run through Doge. Got our Doge analysis coming up for you as well. Let me get this link over into the chat. Wow, not a single soul has left me any chat notification. All right, cool. Appreciate you being here. Wish you were a little bit more vocal. Wish we could get some chat out of you guys, but it's all good. It's all good. You know, if you don't ask any questions, I'm just going to assume you know everything. So here on Dogecoin, what we're looking at are high points, starting here, because this is where the current price is, moving back with our eyeballs, moving back. There we go. So we can see here's where it starts to fall the other direction. So we're going to get a trend line somewhere around here. Same thing for the bottom. We're looking up, looking back, and then it starts to change direction. So we're going to get a trend line somewhere around here based on dynamic support and resistance. This is how we can connect as many low points as we can on the bottom, and this is how we can connect as many high points as possible on the top without skipping any or cutting through them. So for example, if I wanted to try and touch one here, well, I'm using this wick and it's already cutting through them. I'm using this wick now and it's already cut through that too. So I would have to use this wick that literally just formed, and that's not really a good trend line simply because it hasn't been tested as much. So we want something that's been tested quite a while. There is a bit of dynamic resistance here, but it's more so being used along the EMAs than a trend line. So I wouldn't try to force a trend line there. So that's pretty basic dynamic support and resistance there on these 2 points. And then we have another trend line from down here. This is barely having a positive slope, but it does. So this is considered an uptrend line. This is where buyers have shown interest in taking action in this asset previously. And then when we could see from here, this crazy run up back in the last cycle was an all-time high of 74 cents. That makes our new dynamic trend line coming across that level that we saw back in December. So this is going to be serving as dynamic resistance as well. This is an area where people may have interest in selling Doge, in taking profits, or in entering a short. So zooming back into our current price action, then we're going to take a look at the horizontal support and resistance. And this one's pretty simple, pretty easy to understand here. What we're seeing is the swing high. From the swing high, what we can see, link to stream. Oh, well, a little too late for that. From the swing high, what we can see here is a value of 48 cents, almost 50 cents, probably a psychological level. People were ready to take profits there. But we did see here, here, and here a lot of high points, a lot of wicks indicating that price was ready to reverse. So we zoom out a little bit. What we're seeing from here is high point, high point. So I decided to make this a zone as well. We see price smash through it, then used as support, broke, entered the range, left out, returned, came out, returned, fell through. So this is an intra zone as well. Then we're seeing here, we have a couple high points. So we made a zone out of that. We see price, you get a wick here being used as resistance while it's in the zone, then a breakthrough of the zone. Then we see a support touch by one wick of a candle. And then from here, price entered the zone and smashed through it. So now both of these zones are going to be used as resistance. And again, looking towards the bottom, we only have that next trend line below us. So we could technically try and force another zone out of here. But realistically, if price doesn't hold on this trend line, then we're just going to be looking to dive back down towards some of these points, maybe 10 cents or 5 cents for Dogecoin. And then we have our current swing low here at the price of 14 cents. This is where buyers stepped in to show their support right along that dynamic interest. So similar to BTC and ETH, this is floating between multiple ranges right here. We got Dogecoin floating in between previous support, which is now resistance, and lower support. So what does this mean for Dogecoin? This means that if Doge is able to find buyer interest here and buyers support this price action and push it up, then we're going to be running into resistance at that 26 EMA, as we have seen it be used recently as resistance. And then we're also going to be running into some resistance in this zone. So at the bottom of that zone, we'll meet the 26. At the top of that zone, we'll meet the 50. Probably by the time candles come up, these other EMAs are going to be entering that level as well. So we're going to be having a lot of opposition from the EMAs here as well as that zone. If Dogecoin wants to get any higher, we first have to consider those prices or those levels broken before we can think about Dogecoin going higher. So right now, price is trapped here beneath this support, previous support, flip resistance, and the swing low. If this trend line as well is broken, then we're likely going to consider lower price action possible. We can get ready to short it. If this here is broken, then we can look to see if it's going to take up the next level and possibly use those as our take profit targets for an upside continuation. All right, looking at our other tools and indicators real quick, we have our ADX here showing support for that downtrend and then downtrend again. Now it's kind of fizzling out. There's not really much trend strength right now. Here we have a MACD bullish cross, but we're still seeing lower highs, lower lows, and this cross is occurred multiple times. Here we see bullish cross, flip bearish, flip bullish, flip bearish, flip bullish. So there's little momentum happening right here. And this MACD and signal line is below the median. So in the general sense, this is a downtrend. And then coming into our RSI, what we can see here, there wasn't a recent divergence like we had in some of the other assets that is still valid. This one's also expired, or excuse me, satisfied, so we're no longer looking to use it. And there's no divergences across the top, signaling bearish continuation. We can see that the asset is considered relatively cheap by trending at the level of 30, but it's still, from the first time it hit 30 here, I'm gonna drag this all the way down now just so you can see where my eyeballs are, the path they're taking. The first time it hit 30, we go back up, is where this occurred on that support touch. And even though price is still trending below the 30, price is still making lower lows, lower highs. So wait until the RSI gets a distance away from that 30 range, like maybe here shaping up, and then we can look to take our entries with reasonable stop losses or protected stop losses if we're able to get into profits. All right, so there is our Dogecoin analysis. And since nobody said anything, no one even told me to go F myself, I guess we can wrap it up for here. If there was any questions or comments or pairs that you wanted me to analyze, now would be the time that I'll be checking them out, but I don't see anything in the comments. So that's going to wrap it up for this show, guys. Don't forget, next week, we're having a live trading session right here on YouTube, Twitter, wherever the heck you're watching this from, Facebook. I don't know where we're streaming. We're streaming to a lot of places. We should be. So that's where you're going to be able to find our trading session next week with Ricky Spanish. And again, every Friday, so tomorrow, we're going to be having a trading session in the Discord. Let me just bring that up for you real quick. Guys, we have live trading sessions every week in the Discord. So we're probably not going to be doing a live trading session every week on YouTube. But look at this, guys. If you come to our Discord, you'll be able to check into our event board right here. And you can see that event's happening right now. We scroll up to the very top and we see events. We can see anything that you might be interested in participating in, like our CU orientation and Q&A. If you have any questions about it, that's the place to be. If you have any questions about Crypto University, Alpha Group, mentorship programs, indicators, whatever, that's where you need to show up. This is a recurring thing. This happens every Friday as well. And then our live trading session tomorrow starts for me at 10:30 a.m. If you go and view your event board on our event board on your Discord, it's going to tell you directly in your time zone when to be there. So that's going to be our live trading session tomorrow in the Discord. And again, don't forget, we will be having that live trading session here next week with Ricky Spanish. So thanks everyone for coming out. Hey, Thabo Malamvu says, thank you. Thank you, Dabo. Thank you for bringing us a comment from X. I really appreciate that, man. Hopefully you enjoyed the stream. If you didn't say anything, I really appreciate you for coming out and watching. Without you guys, we wouldn't be doing this. So we'll see you at the same time next week. Thanks, everyone. Toodles.